Well, as I said, the Okar possessed many abilities. The first of which was their ability to devour, converting strength from what they eat. But that is only the first of their abilities. The secondary ability, possessed by the Okar, is their vines. Each and every Okar is born with vines that extend out from their body and grow longer as they get older. These vines are essentially long, thorny graspers, which they can lash out, ensnaring their prey and pulling it in towards them. They are quite unpleasant, at least for whatever they set their eyes on. They are basically long vines covered in thorns, and once grasped by them, pulling yourself free is next to impossible. You're basically at their mercy. Then there is, of course, their dramatic increase in physical strength after eating. The Okar also possess the ability to camouflage themselves, to change their color and tone, and blend in with basically any environment, becoming nearly invisible. If they wanted to, they could disappear. One could be standing right next to you, and you'd never know it, which only makes them all the more frightening. The Okar could also produce poisonous barbs, long thorns that they could propel at unprepared meals. Once struck by one of these barbs that were highly poisonous, their prey could be paralyzed or even killed, just like us of the Sky Ray. The effect of their barbs tends to differ between each Okar, each Okar producing their own unique venom that coats the barbs that they produce. This poison could be found in any number of places. Once again, it differed between each Okar. Some Okar had poison within their vines that excreted from the thorns upon them. Others, you could find it in their nails, which could extend in some cases, and others still were able to protrude these thorns from different parts of their body, and some even able to fire them off, like an arrow. All of these things made the Okar deadly, in every sense of the word. They were the alpha predators of our world, and were not to be trifled with under any circumstance. Okay, I really hope that I don't get poisonous thorns, Rose said, beginning to look somewhat more concerned. Don't jump to conclusions, Rose, her mother said. There's no telling which of the abilities will manifest once you bloom. There has never been a cross-breeding between our people before, so I am uncertain as to what abilities you will get. If you are pure Oscar, then your vines should have been there from the start, and yet you don't have any, which leads me to believe that you have not inherited those. So there may be other abilities which you did not inherit from them, taking more after us of the Sky Ray. But it's just as possible that because of the fact that we of the Sky Ray do not actually attain any of our natural abilities until we bloom, that all of your abilities, whether they are from the Okar or the Sky Ray, simply are, well, dormant and waiting to awaken themselves. There's every possibility that once you bloom, you could even manifest all of the abilities of both the Sky Ray and the Okar. There's simply no telling. Okay, Rose said, starting to try to think to herself, knees still curled tight underneath her as she looked down into her own lap. So I could inherit abilities from either side, and they could just be waiting until I bloom. But exactly when am I supposed to bloom? I mean, is it happening right now? Is it going to be the day? Rose asked, looking to her mother. Well, I don't know, sweetheart. You're only just starting to bud. So how long the full bloom will take is, once again, an individual matter. It tends to differ between each person. So just to be safe, I think it's best that we get away from it all for a while. There's a cabin in the woods that's been reserved for us for some time. It was in fact made for us, for this time and point in your life, should it actually have taken form. I was assured that when this took place, we could go there and be safe, regardless of when it happened. That all we need to do is pack our bags and go. Wait, what do you mean assured? By who? Rose asked. Well, by the individual that helped me escape from our home world. He did me a great service. Originally, he is from this planet, a human. However, he hardly seems that way. He didn't have to take me with him, regardless of how much I begged him. But after hearing that I would die if I stayed, he resolved to take me with him. But he made sure to ask me if I was certain that that was what I wanted. That making a return trip would not be something that was possible, at least not easily. That essentially it would be a one-way trip. That once I was here, I would have to stay here, unless he found some other way to take us back. Whoa, wait a second, Mom. You're telling me that a human being was on our homeworld? I mean, I thought that you would have, had your own spaceship or something. Well, no, Rose. We were not a technologically developed people. Surely we knew of other races. They had come bringing war to our world on many occasions, seeking its natural resources. However, we always refused them, either turning them away if they came in peace, or fighting them off if they came with war. But we do not use technology. That is more of a human thing, a concept that they rely on. We were beings of nature and preferred to exist in a natural state with the environment, and thus we do not have spaceships. Mom, but that doesn't make sense. Humans haven't made ships capable of reaching other planets. So how would a human have made it all the way out to wherever it is we come from? Unless we come from, Mars or something. We don't come from Mars, do we? Rose asked. No, of course not. We're from much farther away than that, sweetheart, her mother replied. As far as how this individual possessed technology capable of doing it, according to him, he comes from a place that has dramatically advanced technology, far surpassing that than the rest of humanity. Apparently, he is a king who was on somewhat of a pilgrimage and found himself astray, simply stranded on our planet. We, of course, tried to get him to leave, but he assured us that he could not leave without a ship. He told us that he could make one, but it would take some time. At first, there was resistance to the idea of him staying at all, and some tried to do away with him. Unsuccessfully. All those who were sent to do away with him were, beaten senseless. However, eventually the attempts did stop, as regardless of how many people we sent to get rid of him, all of them returned alive. Beaten senseless, of course, but alive. Each and every one telling of his strength in combat. Apparently he was quite fierce, and basically unstoppable, as far as any of the stories were concerned. This individual claimed that he was the king of a place on Earth called Atlantis, and that he would soon be returning there. And in my moment of desperation, I recalled that he was going to be leaving, that such was his plan, and with few other options, I decided to ask if I could go with him. and it is simply fortunate for us that he obliged. And so he brought us here to Earth with him. He of course invited us to stay with him in Atlantis. He assured us that there were many other people there, and unlike most of the rest of the people of this world, they would openly accept us. However, I was uncertain as to whether to trust him or not, and simply told him that I would prefer to make my own way. But despite the fact that I turned him down, he was still quite friendly, and has elected to help us over the years. He is in fact the one who found the Miracle Grow compound was a fair replacement for the regular sustenance that I would get on the homeworld, and with his resources, has also been the one faking the prescriptions that you've been taking. So he's been very helpful. He's a bit brash for my taste, but despite his somewhat untasteful attitude, he's actually quite kind, and simply requires some getting used to.